Niners win. Niners win. Niners win. What a night. Niners beat the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. Welcome to the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. Danny's alongside. Kev is here. We invited JD. He may join us in a bit. Niners get a win. They ran the ball. They stopped the run. There's a lot to get to. Let's go. Off and running on the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're big fans of Pig and a Pickle. And, of course, football season on the Krug Show all season long is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. 49ers with a nice win. Thank you, sir. Nice win over the Atlanta Falcons. We're here at Levi's. Danny joining us from his NorCal Sports Network studios, taking a break from the Joe Vitello scalding hot flame. And, of course, Kev joining us from his studio. Guys, what did you think? I mean, great win for the 49ers. I guess I'll just go first and just say, I really doubted the 49ers could get this win. I'll bet the Niners quite often if I really believe in them. This was not a week where I believed in them. I really didn't believe in them. I thought Atlanta was rolling. I thought the spread was wrong. The spread actually flipped today from the Niners -2 as the favorite to, I believe, the Falcons went off as the favorite. It was a wild day in the NFL overall. We could talk about that as well, but the Niners ran the ball. Tatum Bethune, I guaranteed Tracy Sandler on the KMBR pregame show. I said, Tatum Bethune is going to have 10 tackles tonight. And she said, do you guarantee it? I said, you know what? Yes, I guarantee it. And that kid stepped up and saved the weekend for Florida State football overall. 10 tackles, 4 solo, TFL. I love Bethune in the postgame. He's like, man, they ripped me off of a sack. He's like, I don't care about the tackles. All I care about is the sacks. I thought that was a great line. What'd you guys think? Hell of a win for the 49ers. They ran the ball. Christian McCaffrey, 200-plus yards. Bijan Robinson held down. That was an incredible thing right there. And the 49ers go to 56-8 under Kyle Shanahan when they run the ball 30-plus times. That's a great stat. What'd you guys think of it? Let's go around the room. Kev, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Danny. And, of course, welcome to the Krug Show. We appreciate all you guys. We'll hit the chat, and if you want to throw your comments in the chat, we will read a lot of them throughout the night. All right, go ahead, Kev.
I mean, just a statement win from the Niners. I don't think there's – I mean, a lot of people that I believe and have a lot of trust in were also picking the Falcons to win this game, and it kind of makes sense. Yeah, the Falcons were rolling coming into this game. They just beat the Bills. The Niners were struggling after the Bucs loss. But this Niners team did a complete 180. Full stop, complete 180. All of a sudden, the biggest thing, if I said it once on the show, I said it 5 times. The run game is the big key for the Niners. That they have to run the ball, and they were not running the ball efficiently. And nothing changed except for the fact that this Falcons defense is probably the worst rush defense that they've faced all year long, and it showed. I mean, CMC ran for almost 7 yards per carry, and specifically up the middle, CMC dominated in this game. I have the stat here. I got to pull it up, but it was remarkable. I mean, we haven't seen it all season long. All of a sudden, CMC can run the ball. In between the tackles today, 15 attempts, 109 yards, 7.27 yards per carry, and a touchdown for CMC.
Is that what he had?
Now that's
7.2 between the tackles?
7.2 yards per carry between the tackles. I mean, that's the game right there. The Niners all season long could not rush the passer efficiently. Bryce Huff came to play today. He had 2 sacks and 5 pressures. It was a great day from Bryce Huff. I think even in some of the plays where he didn't get sacks, he made an impact. On that first drive by the Falcons, it was a 3rd and short on the 49ers side of the field. He comes flying off the edge. Penix steps up in the pocket, and Samo comes and cleans it up with the sack, forcing the field goal. I mean, those are just big time plays from the edge rusher when they needed him most. So full stop 180 for this team. Huge win.
Danny, give us your thoughts. What'd you think of it?
You're muted.
You're muted.
I forgot I do that all the time. I do.
We could have waited till Dan had made like a really, really long.
Oh man, I forgot to put that on. Thanks for reminding me. I just thought it was a great game. All three facets of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. They just really came to play. You could see the energy, the focus. These guys, coaches did a great job. Both, all the coaches had their units ready to play. They got 201 yards from scrimmage tonight from CMC. He averaged 5.375 per carry, 24 carries, 129 yards. He had been averaging 3.1 coming into the night. Kittle's back. Jennings was in there. I think that makes a huge difference in the running game because Jennings is a great blocker, and we know Kittle's a great blocker. And also, we saw Brendel go out at some point. I can't remember what point in the game, but Hennessy came in and he was moving guys. Hennessy was
really moving
guys.
Yeah. I didn't. It's funny. I'm watching the game in the upper deck, and I saw Hennessy come in, but I didn't. Was he? You thought Hennessy did a nice job, Danny?
I did. He was. You'd see him get up and turn, the tackle and turn him to this side while the run was going that side. He was opening up holes. You saw those big, huge holes in right up the gut. And it was Hennessy. Pooney was blocking well. He had Pooney, I think he allowed one pressure, or maybe it was a sack at one point, but then after that, he cleaned things up. Trent Williams looked great tonight. He looked like old Trent. He was moving. His feet were moving. You could see him on a few of he had one play where there was a screen and he got out. He just kind of just wiped out the cornerback, just sent him, into the next, just pancaked him.
I feel like we got 49er football again this week. Like this whole season has been kind of a mirage, or not a mirage. It's probably the wrong word, but it just felt
uncharacteristic.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mac Jones is thrown 40 times. Like he's attempting to throw the ball 40 times. What kind of offense is that? I can remember the Jimmy G days when Jimmy G in the playoffs dropped back 12 times. it's like that's 49ers football. And that's why we heard the soundbite from Shanahan today. He said he wanted to run the ball 40 times. What did they run? They ran the ball. They didn't run it.
They ran
39 for 174, 4 or 5 a carry. I mean, that's, if Christian was 5-4 a carry, 24 for 129 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you're right. I talked about it. This week, I'm like, win or lose, the 49ers have to get their run game going. Now, this was the weakest run defense on paper that they've faced this year, but this Falcon team, and they gave up a bunch of yards last week to Cook from Buffalo, but this Falcons team, is young. I thought they were going to really fire. I mean, I thought the Niners did a great job all the way around. I mean, Bijan Robinson's one of the best backs in football. They held him to 2.9 a carry. Drake London, had 150 yards, I think, in a game recently. He had 4 catches for 42 yards on 10 targets. So, I mean, that's 4 completions and 6 incompletions. I thought Darrell Luter stepped up. I don't know what they're going to say about it afterwards, but Luter, Brown, Mustafa,
Lucas,
Yoon, Huff, D. Winters, Sam Aquinu, Mikael Williams. I thought all these guys really stepped up and played.
Yeah, Chase Lucas, he didn't have any tackles, but he was in on a couple of big plays.
I talked to him at his locker after the game. I'm like, man, you just make big freaking plays. And I'm like, where does that come from? He's like, I visualize it. I think about it. And he's not afraid. I mean, he's an Robert Saleh's mantra is all gas, no brakes. In some ways, if there was a picture of that, under the all gas, no brakes, it should be a picture of Chase Lucas, because that's the way that cat plays. He plays fast and furious, and there's no hesitation. There's no soft pedaling it or he's full bore.
He almost had a pick six.
I know.
But
it went right through his
hands. Fortunately, I think that was London maybe that dropped it.
Yeah. But he made it a tough catch because we've all played catch. If somebody puts their hands in front of the ball, even if they don't necessarily knock it down, it's hard to make a catch through somebody else's hands.
Yeah.
And Chase Lucas just fired. I thought that was fantastic. They did a really nice job. I thought the 49er, special teams, they didn't lose the game. I mean, that was the other thing. It's like, we know, I mean, you can lose games on special teams. We've seen it happen. And what more can you say about Eddie Pinheiro? 2 more field goal attempts. He's now 16 for 16 or 17 for 17. I think it's 17. I think he's 17 for 17. And I said it when they got Eddie. I'm like, you know what Eddie really needs to do? He needs to go on a streak where he makes, 15 in a row. And sure enough, he's made 17 in a row. So I think Eddie's given this team a huge lift. I mean, he hit a 55-yard field goal tonight.
Right down the middle.
Right down the middle. So good win, really good win. I thought this was a great win from the standpoint of if they had lost this game, now, oh man, instead of 5-2, you're 4-3. You've lost 2 in a row. You're going on the road to Houston. It's just the season's much more hanging by a thread. Now you win this game, you're 5-2, you're first place in the division, and now you've traveled to Houston next week with a little bit of confidence. Now it sounds like Brock Purdy is going to be ready to go next week, and I don't know how you guys feel about that, but personally, I understand why Brock Purdy wants to get in there. And I understand if your starting quarterback says he's ready to go, then you probably should put him out there. But guys, I don't think this guy's 100%. I'm watching him in practice. Now, granted, I'm not seeing him. I'm not seeing the whole practice. I'm only seeing the first bit of practice. So take that for what it's worth. But I don't see the same zip on the ball. I don't see the same accuracy. I don't see the same mobility. I don't see the same first step, escapability. And these are all key elements of Brock Purdy's value proposition. And I just personally think I would ride with Mac Jones for 2, 3, 4 more weeks and see if Purdy can get right for a big return in a few weeks. And I know he's going to want to get back. That's why he didn't go on the IR, because he didn't want to be gone for 4 weeks. So now, he wants to get out there, and I'm sure he's trending towards feeling better. But I don't know. I personally, I haven't
played safe, man. Just got to play it safe.
Practice.
Well, you're also playing in Houston and New York on artificial, that whatever they call that turf, but it's not grass, and there's not as much softness when you play on that stuff. I would rest him at least the next 2 weeks and hope that when the Rams come back here in week 10, that he's 100%, because he's not going to be 100% next week. And you run the risk of aggravating it again and setting yourself back. I would wait until you can't make it worse. And
it's a great question, Danny, because it's like, I hear what you're saying, and I just don't know what the right answer is. It's like, is the right answer? I mean, the right answer is continuity, right? Continuity at the quarterback position. Either continuity with Brock comes back and he plays the rest of the year, or continuity in that Brock comes back, exacerbates the injury, is out for the year, and Mac plays the rest of the year. But I think this 2 weeks of Mac, 1 week of Brock, 2 weeks of Mac, 3 weeks of Mac, 1 week of Brock. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think, but
I don't think he's. I don't think
he's ready to come back.
Because what is Purdy's best attribute as a quarterback?
I think it's his escapability.
Exactly, it's his escapability. And if he can't escape and be 100% and move and run and throw good passes on the run, then you're better off with Mac Jones.
James Ace has ride the hot hand. Kev, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, we obviously don't know what Purdy's injury is. Like beyond, like we don't know the full details of what Purdy's feeling. Only the trainers and the Niners do. So hopefully they make the right decision there. And I would say, play it safe. Mac's playing well. I think just going back to the game, I know we've hammered this a few times, but the run game is everything. And Mac Jones, I think, looks even better. Even though he didn't have statistically the best night of all time, he looked even better not having to drop back 39 times in a game because the defense has to respect the run more. So
Yeah.
Mac, even though he had 159 passing yards on that 3rd and 17 or whatever it was, 3rd and long inside the red zone, touchdown basically seals the game. He makes the right read and finds McCaffrey on the seam route when they're playing zone coverage on defense. So I thought Mac looked super sharp today. He even had a deep ball that was dropped by Demarcus Robinson. That should have been a catch.
That was PI. It was a bad PI call that went uncalled.
It wasn't really that
I don't
bad.
know. I don't think it was it was PI.
You didn't think it was a PI call?
no,
I had in my
really,
notes as a PI call.
Because it really wasn't.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Why did you not think it was a PI call? The guy, it was face guarding, and then the guy went beyond the player. He never turned for the ball. He just face guarded and then kind of flipped around. He didn't turn and look for the ball.
On the TV copy, when they slow it down, there was some separation between him and the guy. He wasn't really. I don't know. I didn't think it was a PI. Me and everyone that I was watching with didn't think it was.
Well, you
PI,
probably know because I'm watching.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You're watching it on TV. You know what I mean? I don't.
But it was a terrible drop from Demarcus Robinson, and he had his arms like this, and it went through both of them.
Yeah, it was really the only big mistake of the night that was glaring. I didn't see a ton. Now, Kev, you mentioned that 3rd and 17 pass. That was the one to CMC where they got it down to the 5. Beautiful freeze by Mac. He froze the linebacker and he waited till the linebacker committed to Kittle, and it opened the gap up wide open for him to hit CMC.
And that's a tough spot to be in, man. To be in 3rd and long inside your own red zone, and you need a first down, and that's a really tough play to make. And he delivered.
And not only that, it's weird. I don't know how to say this. I mean, I love Brock, and I think Brock healthy. I kind of like Brock in there when he's fully 100%, but Mac stands taller in the pocket. It just looks like he
stands taller out of the pocket.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he
stands taller all the time, Dan. That's what taller is.
Yeah, what I'm saying is he just looks better in the pocket. Like you feel comfortable, like he can make that throw over the middle without getting batted down. So many times we see Brock throw balls that defensive linemen just stick their paws up and knock it down. And the way he did that on that pass, and credit the offensive line for giving him time to make that, because he hasn't had the time lately. And tonight the offensive line gave him a little bit more time. As he waited, he froze that linebacker and you can see on the TV, the linebacker was waiting to see where Mac was going to go. And Mac froze him enough to look at Kittle that the linebacker committed to go to Kittle. And that's when Mac let it go. He fired it. It wasn't just no little whop. It was a coup, which I like missiles that are, I was thinking about it. And I was thinking when McCaffrey was catching that ball, it was like, I bet you CMC thought, man, this ball's coming. It's not just, slow little thing coming in there, nice and soft and easy like a pillow. It's got some zip on it.
I don't know if you guys saw this stat, but I posted this stat after the game.
What do you got?
I thought this was pretty interesting. George Kittle came back today. That was obviously the story. He had one target, I think, that I can remember. Didn't have any catches. And it was the first game in his career he didn't have a catch that he's played in. But I thought this was interesting. The Niners run game with Kittle on the field, 28 carries, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1.4 yards before contact per carry. With Kittle off the field, 6 carries, 12.
With Kittle on the field, I'm writing this down. 28 for 158, 2 touchdowns, and what?
28 for 151, 2 touchdowns, and 1.4 yards before contact per carry.
Mm-hmm.
With Kittle off the field, 6 carries, 12 yards, negative 2.1 yards before contact per carry.
Wow.
Big difference.
Where'd you get that?
NFL, per NFL stats.
Jeez, that's a big one. That is a big one. That's really powerful. 28 for 151 and 2 touchdowns running the ball with Kittle on the field, 1.4 yards before contact. When Kittle's off the field, 6 carries for 12 yards and 2.1 yards before contact per carry. Was it 2.1? No, 0.1. No, what was it?
Negative 2.1.
Negative 2.1. Am I saying negative 2.1? Oh my God. That's unbelievable, man. That's ridiculous. That really illustrates the value of Kittle. Kittle's a really good player. He's a really good player. I mean, he's a dominant. I think he's a dominant blocker. He's more like an offensive tackle than he is a tight end. He's an offensive tackle who can catch. So yeah, he's a big time player. I'll tell you. You know who also I was surprised didn't keep it rolling today and was pretty much a non-factor is Tonjes.
Yeah, he was. Farrell had a catch.
What did Tonjes do in this game? Did he play?
I didn't see him on the offense.
I thought Tonjes was going to be, kind of I thought he was in such rhythm that I wanted to see some 12 personnel with 2 tight ends with Tonjes and Kittle. We never saw it. Maybe Tonjes is banged up more than we realize, and they gave him a week off. I don't know. But, yeah, it was a good win. It was a really good win. I mean, the 49ers, here's the thing, and I talked about this before the game, and I'm not trying to start a controversy, but to me, this is no doubt about this. I said, if the 49ers find a way to win tonight, and they did, and Mac Jones plays well, and he played well, and Mac Jones is now, what is Mac Jones, 3-1 or 4-1? No, 4-1. Yeah, he's 4-1. Mac Jones is now 4-1. Brock Purdy's 1-1. So yeah, that's right. So they're 5-2. Mac Jones is 4-1. Purdy's 1-1. I said, if Mac Jones plays well and they win the game, and then Brock comes back in the lineup next week against Houston, and for whatever reason, if the Niners don't play well, he doesn't play well, and the Niners lose, right then and there is going to be the birth of a full-blown, controversy. And you can say that there isn't, and the Niners can say that it isn't, but they don't get to control that. It's like I realize that's not Mac's intent. That's not the 49ers intent. Nobody's rooting for that, but that's reality. You're already getting national people like Shady McCoy and others whispering that Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy. If Mac Jones, he just wins on national TV Sunday Night Football for the nation to watch to go to 4-1, and then if Purdy plays next week and they lose and he doesn't particularly play well, or if he's high with his passes again, or if you know what I'm saying? Whether the Niners want to admit it, whether anybody wants to admit it, I don't even give a crap what anybody says. I don't even, some things I'm willing to debate and other things I'm not willing to debate. There's no debate about that. This will be a massive quarterback controversy if Purdy plays next week and loses and plays poorly. It's going to be huge. People are going to be demanding Mac Jones. National media people are going to be saying the Niners are better with Mac Jones, and it's going to be on. I'm just telling you.
All the more reason to rest Purdy until he's fully healthy, because there's
I agree.
Mac's fully proven that he can play and win games on this roster against any caliber of team if he's, if the Niners are, all buttoned up. So with that, if that's a fact, then there's no reason to rush back Brock Purdy until he's fully healthy. And I agree. Like, I don't think there is any legit controversy here. But if
in the minds of the Niners,
but if Brock were to come back and struggle mightily, that would start a major controversy, because
Larry,
now we know how good Mac is.
Does the NFL allow you, like baseball, to retroactive if you go on the IL, since he didn't suit up, Brock? Do they let you go back 2 weeks, and because you have to miss 4 games once you go on the IL? I don't know
the IR.
Or the IR. I mean, yeah. I don't know if they let you retro it back if the guy didn't suit up.
That's a good question. Maybe there's somebody who can answer that for us. I'm not really sure.
What would the point of that be, to just go on IR?
Well, like if you just put him, if you only,
in other words, he doesn't have to miss 4 more games from here.
Right.
He could just miss if he's missed 2, he can miss 2 more.
Right. And then you can put bring somebody else up on the roster. But the problem is you're going to bring him back, and you can only bring 8 guys back. And the Niners have brought back 3 or 4 already from IR.
They brought Givens back today.
Yeah, so they only have 4 or 5 more guys. So you have to be really careful with that. That's one of the reasons he's probably not on IR, is because they don't want to use up all those spots.
I will say this, as far as Mac Jones is concerned, I just didn't see. I mean, I thought Mac Jones was good at Alabama. Okay. And I said to many people in the offseason, hey, I think this is the underrated pickup. But I didn't even think that he could do things as adeptly as he's done them. What I mean by that is he runs this offense like he's been in it for years. He processes at the line of scrimmage in a very high volume and in a very Kyle Shanahan's offense is very multiple. So there's a lot of volume to this playbook, shifts and motions. And you've got, you think about all the receiver injuries they've had, receivers coming in, coming out. They haven't practiced. JJ hasn't practiced. Pearsall's not practicing. I mean, you just have so many moving parts. This is an offense that Matt Ryan struggled in that first year. Before the second year, he won the MVP. It's just, to me, it's amazing that Mac Jones is playing as efficiently. And I mentioned this to Kyle. I said, what's impressive to me, Kyle, is the fact that Mac Jones is establishing a kind of a baseline of how he plays. And it's a really high baseline. And I think I agree with Kev. I think today when they ran the ball, I think we saw Mac Jones look even better. When you don't throw it 40 times, you got a running game. Shocker how much better you look. But it's not just that. It's not the way he's played and how he's adapted. It's all the things that he says. He strikes the right chord. The guys in the room like him. He can assert leadership without undercutting Brock Purdy. It's really working out fabulously. I mean, it really is. I mean, it could not have worked better. I mean, and I think Brock Purdy, maybe because he's been paid, and he's a great guy, so he's willing to share information with the room. And then you got Mac, who's very deferential to Brock. And even though, I mean, you got to have a lot of confidence to be a pro athlete. I'm sure you got to have a lot of confidence to play in the NFL, but he keeps saying, hey, it's not my team. It's Brock's team. He'll get the job when he comes back. I mean, I just think that it's amazing that Mac Jones has been able to play as well as he has and fit in as well. Thank you. And fit in as well as he has, really without any bumps in the road. He's a likable guy. He gets along with Brock. Brock gets along with him. I've talked to the other quarterbacks in that room. I talked to Curtis Rourke this week. I talked to Adrian Martinez. They're like, hey, man, the quarterback room is really good. The culture is really good. So I'm amazed that Mac Jones has been able to handle all this, step in for Purdy, not have this be a distraction, play efficient football, put the team first. Brock is been given the ability to heal. I mean, I'm very impressed by Mac Jones. Didn't think I said this to Copeland. I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I think Mac Jones already has been better than Sam Darnold ever was with the 49ers. I mean, yes. Sam Darnold played one game in week 17 against the Rams and lost and threw an interception on the goal line on a terrible play to end the game. And he rode that to a freaking contract of riches. Mac Jones is playing his butt off. I mean, he's playing, and it's not just like he's playing all right. They told him, Mac, you got to carry this thing. We don't have any run game. We don't have much of a defense. You're
the Niners have the number one pass offense with Mac, with their backup quarterback.
Right. The guy's averaging the most passing yards of anybody in football coming into tonight.
Look, Purdy's been a tremendous player and comes out as Mr. Irrelevant, right? Draft pick number 262 or whatever that was the 7th round, last pick. Mac Jones was the 13th, 15th player picked in the first round. There's a reason that quarterbacks are first round picks and 7th round picks. Now, I'm not saying, if you did it all over again, Brock probably would be a number 1 pick, right, in that draft. But Mac Jones has won national championships, and he had a really good
Did it
rookie.
in the SEC?
Yeah, had a really good rookie season with New England, and then kind of fell as the Patriots were just collapsing, and nobody. I mean, Bill Belichick hired Matt Patricia to be an offensive coordinator. I mean, come on,
like Ryan Vogelsong as your hitting coach.
Yeah, exactly. So
come on,
so he gets moved around, but the fact that he's never been in an offensive system since the days of like he was at Alabama, where, Alabama, he had Devontae Smith, he had Ruggs, he had stars all around him, and he could just pick and pop and fire. Kyle's offense is kind of like that. You look at your reads and you make a quick decision and boom, ball's out. I think he fits perfectly for this offense. And if, it's a good problem to have. It's a lot better problem to have talking about Brock Purdy and Mac Jones versus talking, okay, we got Brock Purdy and Brandon Allen. Season's over. Season's over if this was last year. If you had last year's backups to Brock Purdy, season's over.
Are you saying Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen can't do what Mac Jones is doing right now?
Not even close.
Yeah. I mean, it's been nothing short of
amazing.
I feel like we don't really talk this up enough because it's been perfect. Like in every way, Mac Jones. I'm glazing him, but like in every way, Mac Jones has been perfect.
I hate
for the
that
49ers.
term, by the way.
He's been perfect. I mean, the way he acts in the pressers, the way he handles himself in the locker room, the answers that he gets asked tough questions like, "Oh, how do you feel about being the quarterback?" and like about Brock Purdy and like all this stuff, and he's just so deferent to being like, "I'm the backup. I'm here to play a backup quarterback for the 49ers." Like he answers a textbook. So, and I know that's not important in terms of how he plays quarterback, but the guy's been amazing. And whatever Kyle saw in him in 2021, like Kyle was right, man. Like this guy works well in this offense.
Seriously.
And I think it just goes to show like quarterback's all about situation. Like all these guys, it's all about the situation and the team around them. Like there's so many quarterbacks. We talk about it every week, but yeah, Mac Jones in the Shanahan offense is just something else.
If I gave you Trevor Lawrence or Mac Jones, and you can have either one, who you want? Because if you take Mac Jones, you know what you're saying? That Mac Jones, that entire 21 draft, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones. Heck, you want to throw Davis Mills in round 2. Of all those quarterbacks, who would ever thought that Mac Jones is the best of the 2021 quarterbacks? I don't think there's any doubt he is. I know Trevor Lawrence has got great physical ability, but he ain't. Trevor Lawrence doesn't see it. He doesn't see the field. He sees ghosts. I saw when the Niners played Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence had multiple plays where he's like looking around like for defenders, and there's no defenders over there. It's like he doesn't really see the field. He doesn't have a true account of the defense and like where everybody is. I just think Mac Jones is a much smarter processor than Trevor Lawrence. That makes him the best quarterback from that draft. It's unbelievable, really. It's kind of amazing that Mac Jones is the best quarterback from that draft. But, Kyle said it. He's like, hey, man, the guy processes, the ball comes out, he plays with rhythm, he plays on time. I'll tell you the moment where I was like, the Niners got something here. It was the day this summer when the Broncos came to town for the joint practices, and the Broncos defensive line is really good. Nick Bonito is fantastic, and they got all kinds of guys up front. They were putting a lot of heat on Purdy and Jones, and Purdy had a rough day. He was like 16 of 33, and he had a bunch of passes batted down, tipped, and he was just having a hard time completing anything. Mac Jones was doing the same thing that he was doing against the Niners the day before in practice, just kind of playing on time with accuracy, getting the ball to his receivers. Nothing. He's not an impressive mover, that's for sure. He's not a next level athlete, but man, he's a smart processor. And it's like a lot of people said, hey man, this guy, Kyle really likes this guy and he's made for Kyle's system. And at the time we all thought those guys were full of shit. And now it's like, you know what? They were right. They were right. This guy is perfect for Kyle's system and he looks great. Now, I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I think Brock Purdy's a really good quarterback, but I think the Niners have two good young quarterbacks. And I'll say
It's a
this
good problem to have.
if you want to improve your situation as a football team fast, find good young quarterbacks and then trade them. You know what I mean? Find and develop quarterbacks into good young prospects and then trade them for assets. Because right now, the 49ers, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but they're either going to get a couple good picks for Mac Jones or they're going to get a couple good picks for Brock Purdy. But they have two quarterbacks that they will not be keeping long term. So, and I don't think don't sit here and have anybody tell you that, oh, come on, you guys are talking crazy. It's Brock Purdy. No, not necessarily. This is the NFL. And whoever plays the best and stays the healthiest. And, I'll say this, I really personally kind of believe that if the Niners could ever go to the Super Bowl and win it, whoever wins that Super Bowl is going to have the job. If that Super Bowl is won by Brock Purdy, then they're going to move off Mac Jones and they're going to go with Brock Purdy. If that guy's Mac Jones, they're going to move off of Brock Purdy and they're going to go with Mac Jones. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but that's how I see it. If whoever wins the bowl is going to get the gig. And if neither does, then it's, who knows, but
I mean, that's a crazy hypothetical situation. It's like, we're talking like Phillies. What am I trying to say? When Nick Foles stepped in for Carson Wentz back in 2019 or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, did they go back to Carson Wentz?
That's what I was thinking in my head. I feel like they did.
No, they drafted Hurts, right? And they moved on from Wentz and from Foles. But yeah, I mean, I guess Philly didn't go with Foles, right? They went with Foles, didn't they? Did they dump Foles immediately after winning the Super Bowl, or did they dump him the year after?
Can't remember.
That would have been ballsy as hell if they dumped him right after the Super Bowl. They may have, though. I don't recall. Should we hit some supers here, Kev?
Sure. I had one more thing though I wanted to bring up.
Oh yeah, go
ahead. We talked about the run game being a key factor, or the key factor of why the Niners won. I would say the second biggest factor in the Niners win was pressure. This is a stat per NFL. Penix was pressured 11 times on 42 dropbacks. That's 26.2% of his dropbacks. He took 2 sacks. When he was not pressured, he completed 21 of 29 passes for 241 yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
So the pressure. So Penix crumbled under the pressure. And I think the story of this, it's the same thing that happened to the Niners last week against the Bucs. They had to drop back because they couldn't run the ball. And it forced Mac Jones to make bad throws that he didn't need to make, turn over the ball, lose the game. Penix was forced to make bad plays because Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier could not run the ball up the middle to save their lives. And Penix is a young quarterback. We saw it. I mean, Penix made one of the worst plays you could possibly make to end the first half. He's in field goal range and throws the ball away because he faces pressure in the pocket, 10-second runoff, quarter's over, you don't get a field goal.
Right.
Terrible,
they
terrible
gave
mistake.
away a chance for 7 and a for sure 3.
Exactly. So
in a close game.
Yeah, in a close game where every point matters. So
the
pressure is everything.
Yeah. Can we safely say that if Brandon Allen or Josh Dobbs were there tonight and Nick Sorensen was the defensive coordinator, there's no way the 49ers win this game?
I don't think there's any question. I put in my notes, there was a couple series where I felt like Saleh really was outstanding.
He was amazing. A great game plan.
He really
And-
did
and-
have a good game plan.
And Kyle had a great game plan. The coaching from all levels tonight looked like they really came to play. Even the special teams, you could see that they were. I mean, they had that one mix-up where the guy broke through on the kickoff return, but other than that, those guys were stopping guys at the 20 on the kickoffs. They were not even getting 20, 25 yard line. Sky Moore was so close to breaking one to the house tonight.
He took a big hit too
on the kickoff. He just needed one more quick step to get past that guy that tackled him. He was off to the house.
One more comment here before we get to supers. I just have to bring this up because I've seen it in the chat a bunch. And Jake Brendel obviously got injured in this game. Hennessy came in. I don't know. I didn't look. I wasn't.
Right?
Yeah, hamstring injury. I didn't watch Hennessy's I didn't watch him close enough to be like, oh yeah, Hennessy did good. Obviously, the Niners ran the ball well. But it was funny because after the game, people have always asked about Jake Brendel. They've always asked like, oh, should he be the starter? And every single time it's like, center's a tough position. We want our guy, blah, blah, blah. Jake Brendel's a Pro Bowler. I don't know. And there was this theory that playing center is more complicated. It is more complicated. But
you're making all the line calls and blah, blah,
someone
blah.
asked Mac Jones after the game, how hard is it to switch centers mid-game? He's like, not hard at all. It's like, oh, okay. I guess it isn't that hard. I guess we could have always moved off Jake Brendel. I guess
no big deal. No sweat. It was cake. Yeah. Really? All these people going, what? I'm going to share the screen. Emmanuel Acho is talking about Bryce Huff. Can we play this, Kev? Acho put this out on his social media. It's a pretty good little breakdown. No?
Yeah, just play it, but we'll have to.
Here we go.
Hey, shout out to Bryce Freak.
Wait a second. No, we can't play it.
I can hide it though if you just play the audio.
I can't play it because it's playing over the speaker.
Okay.
Because I've got the hold on a second, wait a second. I can do this. The sound. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I can play it. All right, here we go. Here it is.
Hey, shout out to Bryce freaking Huff, bruh. Because this move did not exist in Philly. Hell nah. This in-out swipe with the dip and the rip? Nah, This dude, Bryce Huff, came out to San Fran and turned into effing Dwight Freeney meets Reggie White meets Bruce freaking Allen meets DeMarcus. This move did not, that didn't exist in Philly. That move right there did not exist in Philadelphia. I don't know where he learned that. I don't know who he been watching, but that was
Nick
not
Bosa
there last year.
I don't know if that's the case. It's funny. I did ask Chris Kasarik, way back when. I'm like, you guys got Bryce Huff, man, and but he had a bad year, Chris. Why did he have a bad year in Philly, and why is he gonna have a good year with you? And Chris, I love Chris because Chris is not a bullshitter, man. There's no BS to Chris Kasarik at all. I mean, he is about as real as the day is long.
He shoots it straight.
He shoots it straight. He's no BS. He's the most honest guy in the room. I love Chris. And that's why those guys love Chris, by the way, because he does shoot you straight. But Chris made a point. It was kind of a highbrow point. And it's really kind of a defensive line. You'd almost have to be a D-line coach to really understand this is true. But he talked about how the step sequencing is different for a stand-up, outside linebacker in a 3-4 who at times is going to rush the passer and at times is going to drop into the flat or the hook zone and play coverage. And it's a different, what Chris said, it's a much different, significantly different step sequence than a wide 9, hand in the dirt, edge rusher in a 43 front. He says the step sequence is just different enough that if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. And I think ultimately what Philly wanted from Bryce Huff is they saw Bryce Huff and they're like, hey, this guy's got outside linebacker size. We'll play him as an outside linebacker. But just because you look like an outside linebacker doesn't mean that you can play outside linebacker. And he's a 4'3" defensive end. He's just a 6'1", 255-pound 4'3" defensive end. And Chris was like, yeah, the step sequencing is different. You're going to see him be totally better in our system because this is our system slated to the kinds of sequencing that he's used to and that Robert had with him with the jet. I mean, it sounded like the ultimate answer at the time, and it's the freaking truth. And here we are, it's week 7 or whatever, and this guy is quite a bit better. And like Baldy's doing videos, that's not the guy I saw in Philly and all this stuff. It's amazing though. He looks like the guy that came from the Jets. By the way, I did watch the Jets this morning, and there's an awful lot of rumbling. Every time the Niners win, by the way, there's more and more talk about trades. And now every time the Bengals win, there's less and less talk about Hendrickson being traded. So I don't think Hendrickson's going anywhere, but I do think that there's a possibility, and there's a lot of smoke around the Jets. And they have Quincy Williams, the linebacker. They have Jermaine Johnson. They have Will McDonald IV. They have Michael Clemens. A lot of those guys are available according to the rumor mill, and Robert Saleh knows those guys. Robert Saleh, I think Robert Saleh, getting Robert Saleh pieces that he's comfortable with is probably a priority. So if I had to sit here and say what's coming trade deadline wise, it's November the 4th is the trade deadline. Today's October the 19th. So we're coming up on it. I say I'll make the prediction with you guys. Niners hook up on a trade with the Jets for multiple pieces coming from New York.
Well, they absolutely should. The Jets should sell because they fucking suck. I mean, they benched Justin Fields in the middle of the game today.
They're 0-7.
Tyrod Taylor looks terrible. I mean, it's just ugly football. So
we welcome in JD. Oh, go ahead, Kev. I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say I agree. I think they should sell. I think if you can get any of those young studs over there, especially with the synergy they have with Robert Saleh, I would make that trade in a heartbeat.
We welcome in JD. JD, we've been talking for 47 minutes about this matchup, and we're very impressed by Mac Jones. We're incredibly impressed by the 49er defense, what they did to Bijan, what they did to Drake London, Chase Lucas, Robert Saleh has been lauded. Go ahead. We won't try to lead you in any direction. You're a smart football guy, and you watch this thing start to finish. What did you think? Give me your takeaways.
It was just a great win, first and foremost. I mean, given everything that this team's been through emotionally over the last week, fighting through the end of that Tampa game without Fred Warner and knowing that they were not going to have him for the remainder of the year, and George Kittle comes back, and I think that immediately gives everybody a big-time boost. First and foremost, I mean, the running game was back. George Kittle was back, and the 49er running attack was back with Christian McCaffrey. It was the old 2 plays, get the ball to McCaffrey, and McCaffrey go get the ball on full display, which is the safety net that the 49ers typically have when they're playing well. So the other big thing that just stands out overall to me is just all of the backup players in different spots that have been forced into action that helped this team win this game. And you start with Mac Jones, the backup quarterback, who's now 4-1 as the starter in 5 games, which is amazing. And I just kind of go through. I mean, you had Connor Colby, who's already playing left guard as a backup, forced into starting, who hasn't played well. Like, let's be honest, has not played well coming into the game tonight. He has a couple of huge plays. One pulling Christian McCaffrey into the end zone there on that game clinching touchdown, and the other
scrum.
Yeah, and then the other one was the ball that got tipped at the line of scrimmage that he ended up catching, and originally, it wasn't going to be ruled or it was going to be ruled a fumble, which couldn't get advanced, but eventually they reviewed it and it ended up being a pass, and so they gained yards on that play, which allowed for them, a much more makeable field goal attempt in that moment. I think it would have been a 62-yarder if it wound up being an incompletion. So Shanahan probably doesn't even try that. And then Hennessy comes in. Yeah, truth serum.
Truth serum says he was sipping Hennessy while watching Hennessy. It's
Hennessy comes in, and I know, Krug, you've been saying, hey, let's see if there are players up and down this roster maybe that can step in and play center and do it more effectively than Brendel has to this point this season. And I thought Hennessy was pretty good tonight once he came in and allowed for a little bit more room up the middle for Christian McCaffrey to get through and try to make some play. Chase Lucas, another one. I mean, the PBU that could have been a pick six. He's filling in for Upton Stout. Upton Stout's not playing. And then Renardo Green goes down in game. And, Luter got picked on a little bit. It's kind of Luter had there was some good, there was some bad, but it's just another one of these backup players. And Tatum Bethune, obviously, I buried the lead a little bit there. I had to go back and check my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, Tatum Bethune was I thought fantastic in the game. Flying around, confident, wearing the Fred Warner rookie 48 in the post-game press conference to match his own 48. And so that to me is kind of the overarching theme, is just all the backups that help them win this game. And look, that may be good, may not be so good in future weeks, but this is a hell of a win. And Kev, I know you want to jump in, so I'll be short on this point. I felt this week that the Niners they believed that they can be a good football team, but they needed to go out and see it. I felt tonight, I thought tonight was extremely important that they had success to sort of show that they can still continue to compete with a good team, given, some of the deficiencies up and down the roster because of the injuries. So I actually put a lot on tonight, and the job that the defense did, it would have been really, it would have been just a ball stomper if the defense had played as well as they did, and the Niners offense can't come through and the Falcons go down and win 17-16 at the end, which looked like it was on the table up until the point in which McCaffrey punches it in. The two Mac Jones plays, the third down throw to McCaffrey, and then obviously the scramble for yards before that. Those were huge in this one. But it just felt like if the Niners could find a way to win, the effort that they put forth defensively is going to give this team a lot of confidence moving forward that they can continue to compete against their schedule, which is really all that matters here between now and the end of the year. So yeah, those are some initial thoughts.
A lot of good stuff there. JD, one of the things we tackled before is, I was saying my scenario on this quarterback thing was that, and I didn't think it was going to come down this way, but because I thought the Falcons were going to win this game. I really did. I did not like the Falcons. I normally bet the Niners. I didn't bet the Niners. I couldn't bet the Falcons or anything. I mean, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to bet against the Niners, but I just couldn't bet the Niners. Falcons look too good against Buffalo. The Niners just look too, struggling. But you know what? One thing I've learned about the NFL, it's not a last week league. It's a this week league. And
yes, it is.
Don't get caught up looking too much at last week. Otherwise it will distort your view of this week. But I brought up the quarterback and I said, if Mac Jones plays well tonight, and he did, and if the 49ers win tonight, and they did, and the Niners go back to Brock Purdy next week against Houston, and I expect that they will, and if Brock doesn't play well next week and the 49ers lose next week, I don't think there's any way around the national media just descending on the 49ers, who are an iconic team in a big market that they love to talk about. They would love to talk. The Niners are like one of the haves. They don't want to talk about Carolina. They don't want to talk about Jacksonville. They want to talk about the Cowboys and the Niners and the Chiefs and a few other,
and
they want to talk about the Eagles. They want to talk about iconic teams in big markets that have
even the Giants and Jets
issues.
When they suck. Yeah. Even the Giants and Jets when they suck. Get that now.
They want to talk quarterbacks and of like the football. It's funny. Ratty used to say to me when we were doing all those years on the radio, he'd be like, the belly of the beast must be fed. In other words, there's a whole football media side out there that they're going to talk about something on all these shows on NFL Network and ESPN. They're going to talk about something on these shows. So if they can talk about Jones versus Purdy in San Francisco on a playoff bound iconic franchise in a major market, they're going to be on that all day, all night. So I don't think there's any doubt. Now, nothing that Mac Jones has said is leading to the controversy. Nothing that Purdy's doing or Shanahan or anybody else is doing is leading. It's just situational. But if that happens next week and they go back to Purdy, one, do you think they will? Two, if they do and he doesn't play well, how do the Niners control this narrative? It's going to run rampant. At that point, forget it's a kind of a distraction. It's a full-blown NFL premier grade A talking point. So what do you see next week? Where is this going from here? Are the Niners going to pivot and say, you know what, Mac's looking really good, Purdy's kind of hurt, we're going to give Brock some more time? Or is Brock's decision to not go on IR, is he going to force himself back onto the field next week? And then what happens if he doesn't play well and they lose? Go ahead. What do you think?
Well, no, it's a great question. It's a great scenario, and it's extremely plausible that it goes down that road. I mean, here's my thing. It depends on how Brock Purdy wouldn't play well against Houston. Is he not playing well because he looks hurt? And we all went around the room 3 weeks ago when the Niners got beat by Jacksonville and took their first L of the season. And I think Larry, you were leading the charge because it was the next game in LA was 4 days away at that point. And you said, hey, he's not healthy. They got to sit him down and they got to go. And I thought they played the healthier of the two quarterbacks for the Jacksonville game. And it was Purdy over Mac in that one. Matt got the time to be the healthier of the two quarterbacks going into the Rams game. So to me, it depends on because Brock has turf toe. So if you have turf toe, like Brock Purdy not playing the last 3 weeks, he's gotten healthier, but he is not, because nobody is going to be fully healed from turf toe in 3 weeks. Brock Purdy is not going to be fully healthy until probably March or April. Sometime in the offseason after the 49ers play their final game, I'll just say middle of January, if they get to the playoffs, or we'll give them a game in the playoffs just to be cautious and optimistic here. So he would have to play, and every time he plays, it's going to get worse, because going out and playing on it, it's going to get worse. That doesn't mean he won't be able to play continually, but it is a pain tolerance injury. It is can you put the plate in your shoe and you feel better with 3 weeks off than you did with 1 week off or 2 weeks off, going back to earlier, but at some point it's going to start to hurt again. And so is he going to be sailing balls like he was against Jacksonville? If he doesn't look good because he's hurt, I think we wind up Krueger back in the same situation we were in 3 weeks ago, which is Mac's the healthier of the two quarterbacks. Brock can't go out there at less than 100% and be effective. So it has to be Mac Jones for another month now, right? You've tried 2 weeks. Wasn't enough. You tried 3 more weeks now. Wasn't enough. So at that point, I think it becomes more about the health than not about the health. Now, if he can go out there and play pretty close to the Brock Purdy that we've come to see and play effectively, then I think it's Brock Purdy's job, and he's the starting franchise quarterback. And I think he's a better quarterback than Mac Jones when he's healthy, period. No slight against Mac. I just think Brock, his ability to escape, his ability to make some, but if he can't make plays with his legs and he can't throw accurately because he can't plant, then he can't play quarterback. Like, so to me, it's how effective is he? And is he ineffective if he is ineffective because of the injury, or is he ineffective because he's not playing well, or the defense is confusing him, or whatever? So that, but you're spot on. I think if he doesn't play well, that is going to be a topic of conversation, because at that point he'd be one. Let's say he doesn't play well, they lose. Now they're 1-2 and they're 4-1 with Mac. So it definitely is coming. And it does sound, I do think they're going to go back to Brock. It sounds like both Brock and Pearsall have a pretty good shot to play next week in Houston. And, we'll see. I mean, I think at some point, if he's healthy enough to get back out there and feels like he can manage the pain that's going to come, I think you put him back out there because I do think he's better. Like I give Mac Jones a ton of credit, but for how he's played, and he played well tonight. He shook off the interception, and he just makes plays and has a good energy about him that I think the team vibes with, which I think you need as a leader, as a quarterback. But I do think Brock Purdy, at his best, is better than Mac Jones. And I do think the 49ers, to reach their full offensive potential for this season, need Brock Purdy out there. Like if we're talking about them needing to score 27 to 30 points a game here to make up for the losses on the defensive side, and maybe the defense in some of these games not being as good, you're more optimistic about that defense coming off of tonight's game, certainly. But Brock Purdy's who gives him the best chance to be able to do that, I think, moving forward.
I want to share the screen on Kyle Posey's tweet. This is kind of interesting, and I agree with this. He says the game flipped when Robert Saleh ditched the big nickel and base defense and rolled with Chase Lucas. He said the Falcons did nothing with Lucas on the field. I also think Tatum Bethune deserves all the credit in the world for how he played. I thought Bethune played a very disciplined game as well. But I think Kyle Posey's onto something. And I was talking to Grant Cohn in the locker room about this as well. We both are of the belief that Chase Lucas played really, really well. And
yeah,
I don't know if Chase Lucas is better than Upton Stout. I think Upton Stout's probably a better athlete and a better coverage guy, but he's a bigger bodied guy. He is there's no fear at all in Chase Lucas. Not that there's any for Upton Stout either. Upton Stout's is pretty raw. He's pretty tough. I mean, I don't really worry about Upton Stout too much either. But Upton Stout's a smaller guy. He struggles at times. I thought Lucas came in and played very, very well. Is it possible that Lucas is their better slot corner? I mean, I know that sounds crazy. I didn't even think he was going to make the team. But he kept making big plays this summer. And when he gets opportunities to make big plays, you can tell when you talk to him about it at his locker. The guy does a lot of film study. He's a very cerebral player. He talks a lot in the huddle with his teammates. He feeds off his teammates. I think Lucas did give him a little something. What did you guys see?
He was great. I'll let you guys jump in because I've been kind of talking a lot here, but I thought he was great. I thought he was fantastic tonight.
Yeah,
I love
I mean, there was a couple plays from.
Go ahead, Kev.
I was just going to say the final play of the game, or the final real play of the game, where Penix looked towards London, and London was running a quick out. Just the way that he recovered on that play to almost intercept it, but basically deflect it and end the game. That was an incredible play from him. I thought that was. I did not know he had that in him. I never thought that Lucas was what he was, but since the preseason, man, he's just been making plays.
I got to give it to Daniel Bullock.
Yeah, and he gave credit post game to Saleh and to Daniel Bullocks, who showed basically tells earlier in the week, and he knew the play. He knew the play from the study and what the coaching staff gave him. He broke it down at his locker that he basically saw. He saw a read that he had been showed during the week in their film session, and was confident that he knew what the play was going to be. And so that's why he was so confident to be able to make that play.
Let's hear it. Here's what he said. Yeah. Here's what he said at his locker to KMBR.
Man, I got to give it to Daniel Bullocks and Robert Saleh. They had a great indicator tape for us at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of the week, and it showed when Drake London motions and he's at 2, he's either going to run the option route or it's going to be flat 7. And I seen how wide the number 1 was with Demo, so I was like, okay, I'm going to try to beat him to the outside as fast as I can. And I put my hands up, man. I swear to God, man, that thing went straight through my hands. But I'm just thankful that, I made the play and that we was able to win the game. That's the biggest thing.
After the Vegas preseason game, you talked a lot about the indicator tape.
Yeah.
When you had the interception there.
Yep.
How big of a file is that? How many plays did it give you every week to study?
I remember when the Vegas game, I told you it was like 130 something. Mm-hmm. This one was probably like around 80. But it's just things that they don't want to say this is 100%, but just keep looking at it. So when I just kept looking at it, I'm just like, man, every time he's at 2, man, he's running the option route. Like, he's always outside. He's always outside. So when I got it, when I seen him motion over, I'm like, oh, wow, they're really about to run this on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. And I'm just mad that I missed the opportunity to pick it off, but I'm glad I got to play to win the game. So
there you go. Great cut there from Chase Lucas. And there's just some magic about Chase Lucas for sure. I mean, he's really, really good. All right, let's do our Habbas player of the game, brought to you by our good friends at Habbas Law. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Habbas Law, great sponsor of the Krueger Show. We love Habbas Law. Thanks to them for sponsoring the Krueger Show. And Omar and Tarek Habbas, great guys. And, these guys, today's show, we should say, is sponsored by Habbas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habbas and his son Tarek have been standing up for people right here in Northern California. They're fierce, relentless PI attorneys. They don't back down until justice is done. When you're injured, insurance companies try to dodge. These guys don't let them dodge. They know that playbook. They've been battling and beating insurance companies for decades. They're official partners of many Bay Area institutions like the San Francisco Giants, the San Jose Earthquakes, the San Jose Sharks. So if you need someone in your corner, call the firm the insurance companies hope you don't call, and that's Habbas Law. They're going to fight to make it right. Visit them on the web at habbaslaw.com, HABBAS law.com. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. All right, let's do our player of the game. Let's go around the room. JD, we'll start with you. Who's your player of the game?
I'm going to go off the board a little bit. I'll leave the obvious one, and I'm going to go Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff for the sack fumble. I think, if you're looking at, what were the biggest 5 plays of the game, we talked about the Lucas PBU, the third down throw, Mac to McCaffrey, I thought was a big one. But Bryce Huff forcing the fumble, and Alfred Collins has got a knack for finding the ball when it's on the ground or comes out there. He ends up with the fumble recovery, falls on it there. I thought that was a huge sequence in the game. The 49ers, after they took the 7-3 lead, they get the sack fumble, and then they go down and they kick a field goal there before the half. I know the Falcons kind of botched the end of the first half, but for the Niners to go up 7-3, then get that stop, and it really provided the defense, I thought, with a lot of momentum. That was a Bryce Huff. I think Tim Kawakami, he called it a blow-by, and it really is. Like when Huff gets a matchup, and he was working the right tackle tonight, when he gets a matchup, it really is almost like a guard at the top of the key that's got a little wiggle to him in basketball, and you just blows by the defender. Only in this case, it's the defender blowing by the offensive tackle. So yeah, are
you trying to say that Dennis Schroeder would be a great pass rusher?
No. I am not. I am not saying that. No, but.
No,
yeah.
I know what you're saying, though. It's not like he strong arms the tackle or beats him. He literally dips the shoulder. His first 3 steps are ridiculously fast.
It's those first steps. Yeah.
Yeah. And guys whiff on him. Guys just they lunge at air. I mean, you're right. He's so quick that he goes right on by you. It's like you're standing still. That's a good call.
Yeah. So Bryce Huff
had one of the. I'm blanking on the stat, but I think one of the weeks he had like one of the fastest sacks.
It was the fastest ever. I think it was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think it was in New Orleans, and it was the fastest since they had been. It was the fastest get off since they tracked get off, which I think that's maybe like 25 years or something like that.
See, Kev would have remembered that if we weren't, drunk on alligator and beers at Koshan with JD. He would have remembered that if we hadn't eaten so much damn alligator.
There's a KMBR video about that one too, but we can go back and find it another time.
Danny, give me your player of the game, your Habbas Law player.
Yeah,
of the game.
yeah. Well, I was going to ask you guys just while you're on the subject of Huff. Do you think he resembles Hassan Reddick a little bit, or that quickness?
Yeah. I think that's a good call. I think he's a little bit stronger.
He's stronger. He can bull rush.
If you see him, dude, he's got the trap. Yeah. He's got the big shoulders. Yeah. He's really carries a lot of weight upstairs, and he's raw, man. He's nasty. I love Bryce Huff. I think he's in some ways a better Reddick is a speedy guy for sure. I think he ran a great 40 time, maybe even a faster 40 time. What Huff is he gets in a very rare 4-point stance, like a track star. And then he's worked on his get off to such a degree. Like when I'm watching practice and they're doing get offs, like right when they ask us to leave is when they bring the offensive lineman and defensive lineman together and they start doing one-on-ones, even now. And so as we're walking off the field, I'll always be watching it because it's probably the best thing we get to watch for, 15 yards as we're walking off the field. And they always start with Huff. And he has, he'll come out of his stance and you'll hear Chris go, "That's a fucking great get off. That's a fucking great get off." He loves Huff's get off. I don't think that Huff's gotten off the football one time this summer or this fall where I've heard Chris say anything other than "That's a great fucking get off." Because this guy he's like a choreographed ballerina. I mean, every step is choreographed. His first 3 steps there's nothing accidental about any of it. He's like an Olympic sprinter. It's awesome. He looks really good. Danny, give me your player of the game. Who do you got?
Well, I did a quick little post game after the game, and I said Tatum Bethune on my show, but I'm going to go off cuff here a little bit and leave that couple of the obvious ones for you guys. I'm going to give the game ball to Robert Saleh. I just think the way he had that defense prepared tonight, and I kind of heard some rumblings as I got a buddy in Atlanta, and they were hearing rumblings down there that the game plan was going to be to stop the run of Bijan and make Penix kind of beat the team with. And then the fact that he threw in some blitzes that we haven't seen, and the pass rush was just really solid tonight. I just think, man, what a difference between Robert Saleh and Nick Sorensen. I don't think the Niners win this game tonight if Nick Sorensen's the defensive coordinator.
No chance.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to beat up on Sorensen, but let me think about that. Yeah, you're right. Kev, go ahead. Who's your Habbas Law? They will fight to make it right. Player of the game.
I think the player of the game should be CMC, but since I've talked about him, I want to shout out Tatum Bethune. I just think that situationally, he might have had the biggest game here, like stepping in for Fred Warner. There's not a player on this team that can step in for Fred Warner, but Tatum Bethune did his damn best to do it. And I think there's a couple of things. One, just his play on the field. Obviously, he had a great tackle for loss in Bijan. There was one play where he blew up an offensive lineman and basically sacked Penix almost from his knees, brought Penix to the ground. And just, commanding the defense. He's a young player. He did it well. I thought obviously the Niners defense played well and he was leading the charge. But after the game, something really just struck me about his post-game presser. Like the way that he was talking about the preparation going into this week. He said that he hung out with Malcolm Stoff and just watched tape at his house. He said that before the game, he cried about the opportunity that he just had for the game. And that's amazing.
We'll play the cut and we'll let you finish after this. Here's the cut, what you're talking about.
A lot of people before this game would look and say, no Fred Warner, no Nick Bosa. This defense is going to take a step back. I'm sure you try to ignore it, but hear that. Did you guys take that as motivation? Was there any extra juice of like, hey, we want to show we can still play?
No, me personally, I saw all of it. I saw all of it. And as a defense, we didn't talk about it, but I felt a certain way about it. I was emotional before the game. I even cried before the game because I'm thanking God for this opportunity. It's unfortunate Fred got hurt, but it's also an opportunity for me to be able to expand and get better while I can before he gets back. And, yeah, I'm just excited for this game. I'm happy the way we played.
Yeah, good stuff there from Tatum. Go ahead, Kev. Finish up your thought.
Yeah, I mean, every player when they step in is going to say, yeah, man, this means a lot to me. I tried really hard. Something about the way Tatum spoke in that presser, I really walked away thinking, this guy, not only does he care, like this is everything to him. Like he really took it upon himself this week to be the best version of himself. And just to sit there and say that he cried about the opportunity and thanked God for the opportunity. I'm like, wow, this guy has, whatever. I don't even know what you want to call that. He just cares.
Yeah. It's
So
important
shout
to
out
him.
Tatum Bethune, and he left it out on the field. Like, great performance from him. You needed him to step up, and you needed someone to step up for Fred Warner's absence. So, game ball, Tatum Bethune.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give mine to. Do we already give it to CMC yet?
No.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you got to give it to CMC. I mean, Jesus,
Hmm.
24 carries for 129 yards, 5 for a carry, 2 touchdowns. He was awesome, man. 7 receptions for 72 yards. By the way, on 8 targets. I mean, that's about as efficient as it gets right there. 5 for a carry. You caught 7 of the 8 balls they threw you. The drive that got the Niners on the board for the first touchdown, their only touchdown in the first half, was a 13-play drive. There were 8 touches on that 13-play drive for CMC. I mean, he literally was like, jump on my back, fellas. I'll carry you. So, man, CMC, badass.
I'll say this too, Larry, about CMC. It seems to me that Kyle has had a good talk with him and got him to buy into just substituting himself out after he has a play or two where he has worked hard to get yards. You see him raising his hand, like taking himself out to give not Bijan, but Brian Robinson he got 9 carries tonight, Robinson, for 36 yards. I mean, that's between those two guys, 33 carries, right? But I like the fact that CMC is recognizing that this is a long haul. You can't just be the bell cow and play every play. And the fact that I think the coaching staff is saying to CMC, look, you got to be honest, take yourself out if you're at the least not, if you don't feel like you're 100% on the next play. And he did. And I've noticed that tonight specifically, he took himself out quite a bit.
He had 31 touches tonight, Dan. He took himself out. He had
I know he still had 31 touches, but the fact is the old CMC would have stayed on the field. He doesn't come out. He used to come out a couple years ago for drives, not plays. He would sit on the sideline for a drive or two, and they would let Mason or whoever was the backup just have a series. Now he's taking himself out. That's what I was trying to really say.
Good call, though. That's our Habbas Law players of the game. Once again, brought to you by Habbas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Thanks to Habbas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. All right. Let's play some, let's fire some supers. We got a bunch of people who have had some comments. We'll get some comments here, and then we'll have our final thought, and then we'll bolt for the door. All right, here we go. We'll just roll through the supers, and thanks to all of you guys for putting them out there. We got this one from B. Kirsch 20. He's become a YouTube member. We always give a little clap for the YouTube members. Philip Chavez says, let's go 49ers. Love you, Larry. Going to, what's that?
PIAP.
What's PIAP? Anybody?
Pig in a pickle.
JD?
That's
Pig in a pickle. Pig in a pickle. Look at that.
Never seen it like that.
Never seen it like that either. Philip, go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them Krug sent you. Get some brisket. Harry Johnson, yes. We got our center, guys. Let's go, baby. Larry, go get Brendel a job at Pig in a Pickle. He's cooked. He's cooked, son.
Who was that, Krug?
This is Harry Johnson.
Every
Mr.
time you
Johnson.
read that guy's super, you're like, Harry Johnson, yes. You always add the yes to it.
That's a ratty. That's my ode to Ratty. Ratty, anytime there'd be something off color, he'd be like, yes. Anyway, Niner Matt 209, Kittle back, and we suddenly have a run game. Coincidence? I think not. Kev had the stat earlier. Kittle on the field. With Kittle on the field, the Niners ran 28 times for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1.4 yards before contact. When Kittle was off the field, the Niners ran 6 times for 12 yards, minus 2.1 yards before contact per carry. That is night and day. That is a huge difference. We got this one from Thoughts on an Uber driver. All right. Shanahan has refused to part with Brendel, his favorite, feeling eerily like Shanahan's love affair with Moody. Hennessy replaces Brendel, instant improvement all game at center. Is that true? I mean, I'm watching this game from the upper
It didn't
deck.
regress.
I haven't watched the tape yet. Was Hennessy an upgrade on Brendel from what you saw? Be honest.
I think he was.
You think he was?
I think it was. I'll just keep it short. We'll both watch it.
Yeah.
I know you'll, and
Yeah.
we can
I'm glad to hear you
reconvene
say
on
that.
it. But I think he was.
Okay.
I think the middle was more open after he was in the game, and I thought McCaffrey specifically was able to get through a couple of plays that he had not been able to get through really much this year.
All I could say is that the Niners offensive line did not play worse once Jake Brendel left.
I would just say when you're watching it from TV and you can have the advantage of replay and rewinding it,
Right.
you see Hennessy moving guys backwards a little bit more.
He's a bigger guy. He's about 315 pounds. He's also been a starting center in the league. Harry Johnson, yes. Larry was cooking up a bunch of sliders for the team. Not sure exactly what to make of that.
Like burgers.
No, I know, but what is he talking about?
I think he's just joking.
Yeah, I understand what sliders are. I just don't understand what the fuck he was talking about. No, I'm just
You
kidding.
got him ready to play, Krug.
I got him ready to play?
And you gave him some sliders and got him ready to roll.
There you go. Do you think Shanahan at any point will have me come into the locker room before a game and actually speak to the team? I can't see it happening. But I mean, Kyle, if you're watching, I will deliver just a fire and brimstone. I will absolutely bring it if you let me go in there. SRT says, while Kittle's return helped, I think Kyle Shanahan going to more power, traps, draws, runs, caught the Falcons off guard. Great coaching minus the number 44 dive play.
The huge
that was bad. But I will say this, Dieter and I were talking with Colton McKivitz, and Dieter brought up the fact that the Niners went with a more gap scheme tonight. It was much more gap scheme blocking than outside zone. Outside zones, they're typical what they do, but they did a lot of gap blocks tonight, and kind of changed it up. And McKivitz seemed to think that was an effective thing in this game against Atlanta. Harry is back. He says CMC number 2 in the league in receptions. We got this one from Titus Moeller. What's up, Titus? He says, Kyle, Brendel's been a stud for us. Really? Did he say that? I don't know.
I wasn't in there when he said that.
I didn't hear that either. That would have brought a really. You don't say. Ivan says, shout out to what?
A cop.
A cop. Go Niners. Am I missing something there? A couple? Is that an exclamation point? Sorry about that. Solid Gaming just says, hey, $4.99 from Solid Gaming. Thank you, Solid. Harry is back. I love Brock, but what would a team be willing to give up for him? We clear cap and get a top tier player in return. Intriguing.
I don't know.
That's a good question. What do you guys think? If the Niners let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, we can have these conversations, by the way. Some people are like, this is all heresy. I love Brock Purdy more than anybody. I mean, come on. You guys know me. I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan. But let's just have this conversation real quick. If Mac Jones, for whatever reason, Brock Purdy's health, probably the reason, if he plays well the rest of the year, and the Niners, I don't know. I mean, let's say they don't win the Super Bowl, but let's say they go to the playoffs and win a playoff game or two. And they decide, hey, Mac Jones is the fit that we thought he is, and we want to go with Mac Jones. And they next offseason in March said, hey, NFL teams, all you teams that don't have a quarterback, if you want Brock Purdy and his $265 million contract, we'll shop him to you. Do you think that there is a market? Do you think there is no market? Do you think there is a burgeoning market? Do you think he's worth a number 1 pick? Is he worth a 2? Is he worth more? Do you want a player? I mean, what do you guys think, honestly, if Mac Jones for whatever reasons somehow seizes this job and becomes the guy? He's not there yet, but if he did, and they crossed the bridge of we're going to move Brock, what would he fetch?
Not what you want. I feel like
Yeah.
he wouldn't fetch something that would make sense to move off of him.
I don't think he'd fetch a 1 based on if he misses a lot of this season. You might get a
Couple day 2 picks, maybe.
I think you can get a
I
think you can get a 3 and a 4 for him.
That's it. Oh, I would think a couple day 2 picks. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have an inflated opinion. What do you think, JD?
Two things for me. One, the contract at this point. Like, who can even take the contract? Number one, like and fit it under the cap, and
who would want to take the contract? They would rather just draft a quarterback.
That's number 2.
You want Fernando Mendoza?
Well,
I mean, someone might,
but the other part
money.
is I think a good chunk of the league believes that Brock is basically a Kyle Shanahan creation,
and he's not worth that contract,
and that he can only be successful in this Kyle Shanahan system, and that they just don't think he's good enough. He might be good enough here for the 49ers on that contract, given as well as he's played to earn it and to be with Shanahan moving forward. But I think a lot of people in the league think that he is a 49ers specific Kyle Shanahan with the rest of the guys that they have around him concoction.
It's an interesting thought.
He's making a lot of money now. So I don't think there'd be much of a market. I think.
Let me ask you this, just to jump in. Is there, I mean,
you'd get at least
is there more of a market for Mac Jones?
Yes, I think there is, because
he doesn't have the contract.
Because he doesn't have the contract. I think if you take the contract away, you could get a 2 for Brock Purdy. Like, if Brock Purdy was making $10, $15 million, then I think you could probably get a 2 for Brock Purdy. But I think with the contract, it makes it a lot more difficult. And yeah, I think the market is for Mac Jones, because Mac is somebody that I think a team would want to be a starter, but a cost-effective starter, a bridge starter. I think you'd have a bunch of different teams. So you'd have teams that maybe are going to draft somebody that would want him as a bridge. I think you'd have teams that have bad quarterbacks that think he could be in their system a capable starter. So I do think, I'm not saying you'd get more for Mac, but I think there would be more of a market for Mac, because I think I think Mac Jones is proving. We could debate where he ranks 1 to 30, but I think Mac Jones is proving that he is a top 20 to 30 quarterback in the NFL.
If they had identical contractual situations, who's fetching more?
Purdy.
Should be Purdy.
Danny?
I would think Purdy, just because of his mobility factor.
Okay. Interesting, though, isn't it? If you said Purdy. Mac, then it's really like, well, wait a second. If he would fetch more in a trade, then why is he worse? If the contracts were the same. Go ahead, Kev. You want to say something?
I was just going to say, I mean, for sure, Purdy. I think we're like a little bit caught up in the last
recency
games.
Bias.
Yeah, I mean, Mac has looked terrible in a lot of games, and Purdy's went to the Super Bowl and
a
few championships.
There might be some people who remember that Super Bowl. There might be people who remember that. Titus Moeller says, what do you think Watkins needs to do to play?
I thought he was going to play tonight. I was really surprised, Krug. I don't know about you.
I was. I thought he was take over. I mean, once Sky Moore fielded 2 balls inside the 5 last week, and when Shanahan was asked about him this week, he's like, he's doing a really good job. Well, what the hell would be a really bad job? I mean, explain that. I mean,
losing a fumble on the 5.
I know. I mean, whatever. But I do think Jordan Watkins is a player, and I'm convinced of it. And I loved what I saw from him this summer, and I can't wait to see him out there. I think he's going to be really good. I really like him. As far as what does he need to do, they got a lot of receivers. He probably needs some other receivers to go down, or he probably just needs to do it in practice for a couple more weeks. The Niners are very slow about all these things, about getting their young players going. Some teams put them out there. Some teams are more deliberate with it. The Niners seem like certain guys they'll throw out there, but other guys, it's like, get in line. Was that Aiden Rodriguez? Hennessy is better than Brendel, no brainer. Okay. NVIX Media. Did you guys catch Max saying that he's looking forward to next week and getting better chemistry with Kittle? Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. What I've seen at practice, Brock Purdy does not look good. I mean, I would tell you if he looked good. He doesn't look good. Now, I'm not there for the whole practice, but he doesn't have the zip. He looks sore. To me, he doesn't have the arm strength right now. He needs all of his mechanics in place. He's not one of those guys that has a good enough arm to be like, you know what? I don't have proper mechanics and I don't have, and I'm still fine. No, he needs proper mechanics and the full arsenal, and he's just not healthy. He doesn't look right. The ball's loopy. The ball's not being zipped to the perimeter. Now, granted, this is just a portion of practice that I'm seeing, but this is what I'm seeing. And I told you guys a few weeks ago before the Jacksonville game, I'm seeing a quarterback that looks in pain and looks like can't put his toe on the ground the way he wants to, and he's leaving balls up high. And then we went to the game, and I said, I don't think he should play. And then we got into that game, and he left balls up high. So I'm just saying, what you do in practice is what you typically do in the game.
I go back to they're playing 2 games on that artificial crap the next 2 weeks. Just sit him, let him get well and see. Plus, you get in 2 more weeks of rest. What was his grade? Did they grade that turf toe as 1 or 2?
I don't know.
Ever hear? Because
there are different grades to the thing for sure. Digital Drew, member for 32 months. He says, if I told you Connor Colby would have more receptions than Kittle, Tongas, D-Rob, and still win, you'd call me a fool. Niners wins are weird. LOL. Yeah, seriously. We got this one from Matt. Interesting comment on the telecast about Kyle having too much time to think about the quarterback draft pick. Mac was the guy. We'll see with Brock returning. We got this one. Oh, wait a second. Did I skip one? No, we got that one. We got this one from Titus. It was once joked that Kevin was a system son, but this year the system, your camera, has had issues. LOL 8. Yet Kevin has continued to shine. For real, he's a legit great young commentator. Bravo, Kevin. I just feel like that's a bunch of crap. No, I'm just joking. Kev's good. We're just joking. Merton says, hey, Larry, love the show. It was amazing seeing Fred at the game, hyping everyone up 3 days after surgery. Where the hell is Bosa at? Why is he not around helping lead these youngsters like Fred? Well, it's a good question. These guys don't have to stick around. Some guys live locally. Some guys don't live locally. Some guys rehab locally. Some guys don't rehab locally. I'm never going to judge guys like that. But in an ideal world, I'd like all my injured players to stay around, especially my veteran captains to lead the team. I'll say this, though. Just talk to the young defensive lineman. Nick is so giving to them as far as technique and knowledge and hints and compliments and critiques. I mean, he's really a sharer, so I wouldn't bang on Nick too bad. AirPod says, I want every player on the first flight to Germany.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? Is that about platelet rich plasma injections? Is that what we're talking about? Brad Lodge says it's not the tush push. If it's the calf pulling CMC across the line, let's go. Yeah, that was great. I mean, any of those rugby scrum plays are great.
They were making a big deal about that on the TV because that's technically illegal. You're not allowed to pull a player.
Yeah.
Penalty. Right. You can push, but you can't pull, right?
Yeah.
Secret Sauce says the hit by Bethune on Algiers thumped him. I think that was Mustafa. I'm pretty sure that was
Mustafa. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Mustafa smoked him. Mustafa is just a little different. He hits. DeBig says, sounds like Renardo Green injury is turf toe. Oh, that's a bad break. Jackson says, hey, Larry, walking to the suite, I was hearing your takes on Kittle's run ability presence through stadium speakers got me fired up. Oh, sweet. God, I think that was probably on the pregame show, probably the pregame show going on KMBR. Titus Muller, Larry, when would you pull the trigger on a trade? Anytime I could between now and November 4th. I don't think I would wait till the last second. If you could make that trade a week or two early, do it. I mean, that's where we're in. That's the mode that they're in. I think this was a win that would make John Lynch pick up the phone and make that deal. Don't you guys think? I mean, if they had lost this game, then maybe not. But this is the kind of win that says this team can make noise. Also, I don't know about you guys. Who looks the best in the NFC? Tampa? LA? I mean, the Niners have beaten the Rams. They've beaten the Seahawks. They've beaten them in their place. So they hung.
See how Detroit plays tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll see about Detroit. My name's Jeff. What the fuck happened to Claudette? Claudette Arcades is a great sponsor of the Krueger Show. You're a great follow on Instagram at @claw_daddy_arcades to find a location near you. They got brand new locations in Visalia Mall and Capitola Mall. Capitola Mall is open right now. I think Visalia Mall is going to be open later on this year. But Claudaddy Arcade sent us to New Orleans. We're big fans of Claudaddy. And once again, he's a great follow on Instagram at @claw_daddy_arcades for a location near you. A couple other last ones. Christopher Beruman, $4.99. Thank you. Michael says, Chase Lucas, what a find, needs to start from now on. He was good, and it might be time to play him. I kind of agree. Bill M says, my player of the game, George Kittle, opened us up. Kev had that stat, and it's pretty revealing. MSQ, glad B-Rob was used early on SF, and B-Rob is greater than Atlanta B-Rob, LOL. I don't think anybody would say that, but I will say this. Brian Robinson had a big smile on his face in the locker room. I mean, you go to a new team, you want to contribute. It hasn't happened. I'm sure you get frustrated. He's a prideful guy, and he got some run today, and I think he feels good about the job that he did. Anthony Catania's in the house, who's also a sponsor of our show, Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. He says, great show, guys. Very impressive win. This win was huge. Look out, rest of the league. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of win that makes you go, wait a second. This Falcons team beat up on Buffalo and Josh Allen, and the 49ers took him apart the very next week. It does kind of make you pause. By the way, Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. All right, we got this one from Jay Figs. Connor Colby was a caveman grabbed to carry his running back some yards. That's pretty good. We got this one from Josh. Just made it to the stream. How about Eddie P? Yeah, I mean, seriously, that guy was on the beach in week 2. He had a 55-yard field goal. He's 16, or is he 16 for 16 or 17 for 17? 17 for 17.
With 550-plus makes among the 17.
Unbelievable. And supposedly that was his weakness. He hit from 55, and it was easy. Chris, brand new member. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining. G. Castillo says, all we need now is to sign on the Detroit, the dotted line to make it a perfect weekend. All we need now is to sign on the dotted line to make it a perfect weekend. What are we talking about? Who are we signing on the dotted line? Am I missing that?
I think he's talking about the Giants manager, I'm guessing.
Oh, I get you. G-Code Travels Vlog POV. Tatum Bethune is fire. It's safe to grade the 2024 draft A-. 7th round pick, I believe. G. Castillo. All we need now is for Vitello to sign on the dotted line to make it a perfect weekend. Gotcha. Ugh. I'm not sure about that, actually. I'm not sure if I'm a Vitello head myself. Something tells me Rafael Devers could say, hey, college coach, get the F out of my face. I'm not sure if that's going to work.
It's probably the worst guy that they could hire on the list of pretty underwhelming list, by the way, of guys they interviewed.
I was hoping for Yadi Molina. I know Danny was as well. I thought that would have been an opportunity, but maybe Yadi's going to go to the Cardinals at some point, and that's why he didn't want to come here. But very surprising. Very surprising. Buster ordering off the menu. It better fucking work. Chris says, hey, Larry, not sure if you covered this already, but how did you think Hennessy looked after Brendel went down? It's hard to say. I mean, I watched him on the Binocs. The guys said he looked pretty good. I'll have to hold off till tomorrow on that one. Harry Johnson, Moore had a nice catch and run. Needs more reps. Who's he talking about? He's not talking about who's Moore.
Sky.
Sky Moore. He had a decent return. Don Peralta, great show, Larry, Dan, Kevin, and JD. Thank you guys for rocking it tonight. Seriously, we're going late night. We're almost done. Terrence Sullivan, low mistake game, no penalties on offense. It was a very clean game. It really was. 49ers played a very clean game. All right, we'll finish up with this. Final thoughts. We'll go around the room. JD, we'll start with you. Do you have a final thought on tonight's 49er victory over the Falcons?
Yeah, I just think tonight's game just furthers the positive mojo. I'll kind of end it as I started. I think it gives this team belief that they can continue to compete against good teams as they push forward here, not only to the trade deadline, but toward trying to make the playoffs. I mean, I had said for the last week, Krug, and this, I mean, at 4-2 before tonight, to me, it's, can you get to 6-5? Can you go 6-5 in the final 11? They're 1-0 in that stretch. Maybe I'm shooting the bar a little low for some on that, but if you could do that, you get to 10-7, and I think 10-7, considering the circumstances, and making the playoffs at 10-7 would be a rousing success. So now you're 5-2. Can you go 5-5 in the last 10? Because it's not going to all be rosy, like in tonight, they were in danger tonight as well as they played. One drive for the Falcons, if the Niners end up down 4, at some point in the fourth quarter, and maybe we're having a different conversation, but I think it's a real confidence booster. I still think this team's going to have to get healthier offensively and play better offensively and become a little bit more dependent on the offense, kind of a team. But I just think it's a great win. And at 5-2, it means you're in the race for at least the next month and a half, right? Even in the worst case scenario, you're in the race for another month and a half. And so let's see what they can do. Can they split the next 2 or get both? And, at a minimum, be 6-3 going into that rematch against the Rams.
Kev, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to kind of second what JD was saying, because I had the same thought. I think that this is a statement win from the Niners. I think it kind of proves to the Niners themselves, the fans and everyone, that they can win big games. I think if you lose this game, you start questioning yourself a lot. You drop 2 in a row to 2 competent teams. Beating this Falcons team in primetime definitely brings up the confidence, and I think they needed it. I mean, without Fred Warner, I think you'd have a lot of questions about your defense if you couldn't secure up this Falcons team. And they did a full 180. They ran the ball well when they weren't running the ball well before, and they stopped the run. So great win from the Niners, and like JD said, positive mojo going forward for them. So
Danny, go ahead. You got a final thought?
Yeah, I'm encouraged with the win, and I'm also, whoever did the PR in the offseason for the scheduling, Niners getting another rest, better, Tampa or Houston plays again tomorrow night. So this is like the 3rd game maybe out of 7. There's those, the Niners will have the rest advantage, which last year
Houston plays tomorrow night up in Seattle.
Right. Yeah. Houston plays tomorrow. And I think this is isn't this like the 3rd game already in the first 8 of the season? They'll have a rest advantage over their opponent.
Which they had it on Tampa. They had it tonight, and it's the 3rd straight, actually. They had it on Tampa because they played Thursday night before.
That's
Tampa
right.
Played Sunday before. So it's 3 weeks in a row.
I think that's going to help them get to 10 or 11 wins this year. I really do, because as you said, Larry, doesn't matter what happened last week. It's this week, but rest does matter. And last year, the Niners were at a huge disadvantage in several games on rest days. And this year, I think with the easier schedule, And the rest advantage, I like the chances going into Houston, because I think on a regular rest, if Houston played today, I would think the Niners, I wouldn't give them too great of a shot. But after winning tonight and then getting the rest advantage, I think that gives them a huge confidence boost that they can go in there and steal one in Houston.
It's a good call. I'm gonna shout out just, to me, the one thing about the NFL is that if you lose your quarterback, you're screwed. That's really it. I mean, if what happens to this team? What happens to that team? They lost their quarterback. Oh, that's why they suck. And the 49ers have been in a real weird situation. They paid their quarterback. They have a young quarterback that they really like, and yet he came out and popped up out of the blue with an injury that they had no idea, no way to plan for, no idea was coming, and weren't sure exactly what it would do to their season. And yet here we are, and Mac Jones has stepped in and played incredible football. I mean, this is the completion percentage weekly for Mac Jones. 66.7% against New Orleans, 65.9% against Arizona, 67.4% against the Rams, 69.2% against Tampa, and tonight 65.4%. The guy basically, you got a pretty good idea of what he's going to do. He also he takes care of the football. He's had 5 starts? He's only got 1 start where he had 2 picks. He's got 2 starts where he had no picks, and he had 2 starts where he had 1 pick. So he's taking care of the football. And then what makes things, exacerbates things for the Niners is they don't take it away. They haven't had an interception in 13 games. That puts your quarterback under the gun, because he knows when he's walking out on that field, I got to make I got to make plays. I got to avoid mistakes, and I cannot turn it over because we're not going to take it away. So if I turn it over 2 times, we're going to be -2 in turnovers. If I turn it over 3 times, we're going to be -3 in turnovers. I can't turn it over. And yet with all the pressure, the expectations, the iconic franchise, all the attention, complicated offense that other quarterbacks have needed time to adjust to, this guy has stepped in and just played very consistent football, led the team, 4-1 record, takes care of the ball, ball comes out on time, doesn't throw picks, sees the field. Very impressed by Mac Jones, man. And that's why I asked Shanahan about it. You heard Shanahan's answer in the postgame. He loves him. So, but Mac, I don't know what's going to happen this year for the 49ers, but it's really, really clear to me that Mac Jones has saved their bacon. Absolutely, in a huge way. He's playing great ball, and they're winning games. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to our sponsors. The links are in the description for all the sponsors. Danny's with NorCal Sports Network. Danny, when do you go live next? You're muted.
I'm going live tomorrow night after Game 7, Seattle and Toronto, and after Monday Night Football. So
who's going to win Game 7, Danny?
Man, I hope it's Seattle. I don't feel good about it, but I hope it's Seattle.
I'm rooting for Seattle. JD, of course, you can hear on the Sports Leader. JD will be back probably tomorrow on some show, right? Or
actually, Tuesday. Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be a travel day for me, going down to LA.
You got the Warrior home opener or the Warrior season opener in LA at Staples. What, Tuesday night?
Busy week, yeah. Down at Staples Tuesday night. I'm actually going to be in for Papa Tuesday. So from LA, 10 to 2 on Tuesday, and then we're going to have Dubs OT, the debut of Dubs OT after the Warriors and Lakers. That opener on the Sports Leader immediately following the game from LA. And then busy week. We got our Warriors roundtable this week out at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Before the Warriors home opener against the Nuggets, and then Dubs OT after that. Then I'm headed up to Portland for the third game. They have a back-to-back Thursday, Friday, so I'm going to Portland for the second away game. And then from Portland, it'll be on to Houston for the 49ers and the Houston Texans. So busy week, but back on with Papa 10 to 2 and a fun week. And then coming back from Houston, Krug, 2 home games. for the Warriors next Monday and next Tuesday. So they start with 5 and 8, and we're going to sandwich that Niner game in Houston in between all of it to get things going. My favorite time of year, fellas. You know it, Krug. I love this time of year when football and the NBA overlap. And we'll see what the Warriors have got.
I got a
Tuesday night.
quick question for you on Seth
Sure.
Curry. When's he eligible to come back? When can they sign him in
Seth
November?
Curry.
Yeah, it's I want to say the 14th of November.
14? Okay.
It's right in the first. It's right in that week of like the 11th to the 14th.
Okay, so about a little over 3 weeks.
At that point, his salary will be prorated enough to where they can fit him under the hard
apron,
cap.
Under that second apron. Yeah. Okay.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks to JD. Thanks to Danny. Thanks to Kev. Thanks to all of you. Go Niners. Great win, man. Great win for the 49ers. This would have been a tough loss, and this easily could have been a loss. Atlanta was rolling. They knocked around Buffalo last week. They rolled across country. They fought. They came in here, and, man, Bijan got shut down. Drake London got shut down. The 49ers ran the ball, dominated the running, dominated at the line of scrimmage, and win the game. Great win for the Niners. Thanks to all you guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning into the Krug Show on YouTube.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.